Story time of how I caught my teacher and my best friend doing the dirty. So everything was fine up until the middle of the year when she started acting really strange, and so did he. So at the time, I was 13 and she was 14. And I'm pretty sure my teacher was in his mid-20s or 30s. So basically, she's the type of girl who literally hates school and would do anything to get out of class. Then I noticed her getting early to class and not leaving until everybody else left. Then I started paying a little more attention, and he would always walk by her desk and slip her notes and candy and just weird stuff, and it was really strange to me. He also moved to her desk right next to his, which his was all the way in the back left corner of the classroom. He would also always make jokes with her, which I didn't really understand until I found out they were sleeping together. So on Friday, my mom messaged her parents asking if they could pick me up Monday because my parents were going out of town that weekend and I hated riding the bus. Well, I'm guessing she didn't know that I was going home with her Monday. So that Monday, I got into her mom's car and I asked her mom where she was. Her mom said that she was failing math and her math teacher offered to tutor her. This teacher was also brand new. I'm running out of time, so for part 2. Here's part 2 of how I found out my best friend was sleeping with our teacher. So continuing on with the story, I told her mom that I've never seen him tutor somebody before. Plus, she told me her grades were sky high in that class. I ended up forgetting my pencil pouch, which had my keys to my house in it, so I had to go back anyways. And when I went back, the door was locked. And he had something over it or whatever, but I could see under it because he didn't cover it all the way. And she was on his desk and he was kissing her or doing weird stuff. I knew her mom wouldn't believe me if I told her what I saw, so I just told her it was an emergency and she was in trouble. So we booked it back to the classroom, and at first we didn't see them, and then she seen a foot come from beside the desk. Mind you, we're peeking under it, so we couldn't really see much. She started banging on the classroom door and screaming. I've never seen her this mad. I was honestly terrified that I ran into a separate classroom. The teacher to this day, I'm pretty sure he's still in jail, and she is still homeschooled and grounded with no phone. We found out that he was married with 4 kids. Well, was married. Story time of how I got sexually assaulted by my childhood best friend. So it was around 2nd grade, and at that time I had just moved, so of course I transferred schools and I didn't really know anybody. There's this little girl in the neighborhood, same age as me at that time, that would ride her bike up and down the street constantly until one day she finally talked to me. She was really sweet, and for a while we'd just ride our bikes around and play like normal kids would do. And eventually we started getting really close. My mom always told me she despised the girl and got really weird vibes from her, but of course I didn't care and I continued to play with her because, that was my best friend at the time. Until one day she asked me to play house with her, and I thought, just gonna be like sisters and taking care of babies and stuff like that. But that is far from what she meant. Mind you, we were both in 2nd grade. She started to touch me, and once I hesitated, she cautioned me that everybody does it and this was okay. Then she started telling me about the birds and the bees. I nicely nodded my head and just disagreed with her, and when I got up to leave, she pushed me back down to the floor. I'm running out of time, for part 2. Part 2 of how I got sexually assaulted by my childhood best friend. So continuing on with the story, after she pushed me down to the ground, she continued to touch me in all the places that I did not want to be touched. Keeping in mind that we were only in 2nd grade, I found this very strange. It was known as my no-no square, so I honestly did not want to be touched there. After a while of convincing, I finally just stayed still and she continued to do stuff to me. Finally, she let me go home, and as I was walking out the door, she whispered in my ear, if you ever tell anybody about this, I will snitch on you and reverse the story. Honestly, I was just traumatized about what just happened, so I kept it to myself, and I honestly did not want to tell anybody because I didn't think anybody would believe me anyways. She continued to do this for about a couple months, and heaven only knows if I was the only person that she did this to. Because she did hang out with a couple other girls, and they honestly seemed a little scared of her. Anyways, to this day, she still sends me pictures of us from when we were children, acting like nothing ever happened. I don't know if there was something going on with her that I did not know, but to this day, it honestly still traumatizes me that a 2nd grader could do something like that. Here's a story time of how I got catfished by my best friend's dad. This story literally ends up taking a turn for the worse, so honestly, be prepared for that. So it was around 6th grade and I had just moved schools, and I put on my Snapchat story swipe up to be friends because I didn't really know anybody around me, so I kind of had no friends. So this one dude swipes up and he's like, hey, you're really cute, we should talk more. And I was like, aw, thanks, what you look like? He sends me a couple pictures of himself and he was so hot. So I was like, yes, let's talk more. So we started snapping so much that within a couple hours, he was #1 on my best friends list. He would never show his entire face. He would always show his jawline and stuff like that. Or pictures of his underwear. Literally all I ever got was jawline pics or underwear pics. I literally got so comfortable with this dude, I told him stuff that nobody else knew. I told him I loved him and that I was catching feelings. A couple days later, I stayed the night at my best friend's house. She had softball practice, so I stayed at the house with her dad. Once we get back to her house, after dropping her off at softball practice, he said he had a big surprise for me. I'm running out of time, for part 2. Here's part 2 on how I got catfished by my best friend's dad. Continuing on with the story, my dumb self didn't really think anything of it, so I followed him to his room. He closed the door behind me and he told me to be quiet. I was like, okay, what is this surprise that you have for me? He pulled out his phone and he showed me his Snapchat. And it was the Snap account that I have been snapping for the past couple of weeks. And the same guy that I confessed my love for. Mind you, I'm pretty sure her dad was in his mid-40s at the time. And I was only 12. He told me to give him my phone because I needed to be punished for my actions, so I did. I only did because I was honestly terrified and I had no idea what else to do. He told me since I told him I loved him, I needed to show him that I loved him. And he starts to take his pants off. I turn around and I run out the room and out the house. My house was only a couple houses down, so I ran all the way down to my house and told my mom everything that happened. I don't know if she really believed me, but he ended up convincing us not to press any charges against him. And I was never allowed to see my best friend nor him ever again. P.S. I never got my phone back and we had to move again. Story time. Okay, so there was this one teacher in middle school that nobody ever really liked. She always woke up on the wrong side of the bed. So this one girl that she picked on in particularly, literally her phone would be in her back pocket and she'd send it to the office because she could see it. And it was out when it was just in her back pocket. Or like one day the teacher told her that she could put her head down because she didn't feel good. And then she called on her and then like her head was down and she sent her to the office saying that she wasn't listening and being disrespectful when literally she didn't even do anything wrong. So she decided that when the teacher was not looking, she put a whole bunch of this super glue, I think. I don't really remember what glue it was. All over the teacher's chair, so when she sat down, it literally stuck to her pants. The back of her pants ripped off, and I think she had to go to the hospital or ER because of the chemical reaction her skin had with the glue. And literally nobody ever snitched on her because nobody really liked that teacher and knew how evil that teacher was. Nobody snitched on her, so the teacher ended up not working there anymore and actually quit because of that. And I'd do it again. Here's a story time of how me and my sisters almost got kidnapped. So my mom and her boyfriend were just going to go out and have a night to themselves, and I was home watching my 2 little sisters. At the time, I was 13, my 2 little sisters were 9 and 6. So around 6 p.m., my mom and her boyfriend leave. Me and my sisters just sit down and watch a movie, and then I get up to make them dinner. I get paranoid really easily, and while I was making them dinner, I look out the kitchen window, and I thought I seen somebody in the backyard. I text my mom and she gets on the cameras that are outside and she said nobody was out there. I continue making them dinner, we sit down and eat, and then we start watching another movie. Then we start hearing knocking. It wasn't coming from any of the doors, it was coming from the side of the house. I didn't want to bother my mom on her one night out, so I just took the kids and we went upstairs and watched a movie in my room. My 6-year-old sister at the time went to the bathroom and she came back in literal tears. She was literally crying so hard until I finally got her to stop and tell me what was wrong. She said as she was walking back from the bathroom, she seen somebody downstairs. I quietly lock my door and I put my sisters in the closet and I call my mom right away. I'm running out of time, for part 2. Story time of how I found out that my boyfriend was sleeping with his stepsister. As crazy as it sounds, I literally just found the whole situation funny. So I was dating this kid, let's just name him Mark, for about 1.5 years. He had a bunch of step-siblings and they were all younger except one girl that was 16. She was very protective over my boyfriend, but I honestly kind of thought that was just normal, you know? She would always make up some strange excuse why she had to hang out with me and my boyfriend, so we honestly never could hang out alone. They were siblings, so I would never think anything of it. I honestly thought they were just really close. Then one day she said something really weird and it made me start to think. I seen him slap her butt a couple of times. I kept my opinions to myself at first because, you know, he's my boyfriend and I didn't want to start an argument, but then I said something. His reply was, "Stop overthinking, she's just my sister." Okay, well if she's just your sister, why are you smacking her butt? Anyways, one night he wasn't replying to me for like 3 hours and I thought he was asleep. So I log into his Snap to spam cute pictures of me and his memories. And I found videos. Disturbing videos. I'm running out of time, for part 2. Part 2 of how I found out that my boyfriend was sleeping with his stepsister. Continuing on with the story, I saw videos of him sleeping with somebody. At first I didn't know who the girl was because she went no face, no case. And of course I was going to look at the video just to find out who the girl was. I mean, I was mad, so I really didn't care about anything else about finding out who it was. And I realized that it was his stepsister's room. Again, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Then a couple videos later, it was a video of them making out, so I was just like, okay, it has to be her. I logged out of his Snap and 30 minutes later he texted me and said, "Hey, did you log into my Snap?" I said, "Yeah, haha, I didn't mean to." Then I said, "So was it good?" Even though I saw the videos, he literally never admitted to it. After he found out that I knew, he blocked me on literally everything, didn't break up with me, just blocked me on everything and hasn't said a word to me since. His mom ended up texting me and was like she was very disappointed in me, so he had obviously told her some lies. His stepsister and all his family ended up blocking me on everything too. Again, I'm not sure what he told them, but I'm pretty sure they all hate me now. So yay!